What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update going into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news. Quite a fair bit to get through. We're going to start off with Georgi Sudakov of Shakhtar. The Daily Express say that Tottenham and Chelsea have both held regular talks about signing Georgi Sudakov from Shakhtar Donetsk this summer. Shakhtar are reluctant to sell, though, before the Euros in case he has a strong tournament, which is fair enough. And I do suspect that any deal that Spurs try and do with Shakhtar will be, they'll try and get that Manor Solomon money in there with it.
I'm sure, but apparently they're saying they're demanding quite a high fee for him.
It was like 65 million or something,
so
yeah.
That is a high price. They must be very sure about him if they're willing to go as high as that. Obviously, he's a midfielder, which we are looking at. I don't think he's a number 6, though, so whether we're willing to have that kind of outlay on him when Gallagher could potentially be available for less than that, I do question. Obviously, Chelsea about to appoint a new manager. He's going to want potentially some of his own players, and maybe they're going to look to back him. So if he wants him as well, I don't know if we could outbid Chelsea on it. But
if he gets his own players, that's a different story.
Yeah, we all know Chelsea at the moment. That's the reason why Poch left. Disagreements with the hierarchy. So it's going to be an interesting battle if we're both seriously interested for him. But I don't know if we're willing to spend that kind of money on a position that, for me, unless we're going to maybe have a surprise sale with one of, like, obviously we know Højbjerg's leaving, whether like maybe Skip leaves, maybe one of like Bentancur potentially leaving as well, or a Basuma. I think if one of those leaves, maybe we'll look for another one for that kind of price. But I don't know. That seems a very, very hefty price.
Yeah, and
especially with Bergvall also coming through.
100%. I mean, I can't see us spending that kind of money on this kind of player. Particularly, I can't see Shakhtar dealing with us anyway after what's happened with Manor Solomon anyway. So we'll see what happens. But let's move on. This is an interesting one. He goes by the name of Desiree Doue, I think that's how you pronounce it. Abdallah Bouma says that Tottenham are one of a number of clubs interested in starred Rennes attacking midfielder Desiree Doue, an 18-year-old also wanted by PSG, Manchester United, Arsenal, Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. Simon Jones of the Mail says that Tottenham, Arsenal and Man U have all asked about Rennes' exciting rising star Desiree Doue. Rennes are expected to demand over 35 million with substantial add-ons should they agree to sell him this summer. I've done a bit of looking into this guy, and he looks like a really exciting prospect. He's predominantly played on the wings, I think, for Rennes this season. He's played a fair number of games as well, I think over 30 games as an 18-year-old in the French league. In terms of goal contributions, I think he's got about 8 or 7 goal contributions this season, around that kind of figure, 4 goals and 4 assists around that. And they expect him to be one of the big rising stars in the game at the moment.
18 years of age, to have that regular game time and actually to be contributing on a regular basis in quite a good team like Rennes is not anything to be sniffed at. And I think clearly this guy has a lot of talent, and when you're regularly contributing off the wing at such a young age, I think it's no surprise that all these different clubs, and all the clubs you mentioned, Leverkusen, Dortmund, all known for their recruitment, all known for getting these stars at such a young age and building them. So they clearly spotted something in him. So I'm not surprised at Tottenham. We know that we were looking for a young winger. Obviously, Noosa was talked about. People like Illing Jr. were talked about. So I think Tottenham were very much in for a winger who's going to be a rising star, who's going to be up and coming. So I think he definitely fits the bill. Obviously, I don't know whether he's coming to be, our starter, but definitely coming to build his career and build him up. I think that's what Tottenham are looking to do in that position. So I'm not surprised at all that we're looking at him and to play 31 games, which means he's starting very, very regularly. So at that age, it's very, very impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of
5'10" as well, so he's got a bit of stature about him.
A lot of appearances off the bench, obviously, which you expect from an 18-year-old. But in terms of the games that he started this season, 11 games off left wing, 2 games off right wing, 1 game in the number 10, and 3 games in centre midfield as well. So you're talking about a very versatile player, 18 years of age. I think if we could steal a march and get him ahead of some of the teams mentioned, I mean, you could be looking at the replacement for Heung-min Son right there.
Potentially in the long term, 100%.
Let's move on and let's talk about Hayden Hackney, as the Northern Echo says that Tottenham are keen on signing Hayden Hackney. The club have scouted the Middlesbrough midfielder for the last 2 years and could move to sign him this summer. We saw he was a shining light, wasn't he, in their Carabao Cup exploits this year, where they got knocked out to Chelsea in the semi-final. I remember he had a really good first leg, didn't he, when Middlesbrough won that game actually, and then got battered in the second leg. But he's a midfielder that could be real of interest to Spurs.
You know, I think if Tottenham are going to look for a centre mid, and obviously if they're not going to say pay the money for Gallagher, obviously someone like Hackney, who isn't going to command as much of a fee but has potential to adapt to the Premier League. We've seen people like Adam Wharton come to the Premier League and really take like a duck to water, as if he's been playing in the Premier League his whole career. And he's also a similar age to Hayden Hackney, maybe a bit younger. So it shows the potential of getting these kind of talents from the Championship and making them into Premier League ready stars. And I think when it comes to someone like Hackney, obviously, seeing him in the Carabao Cup, he was brilliant. And I think price-wise, and also he's English, kind of makes a bit more sense than spending 65 million on Sudakov. Maybe Sudakov is that much better that it's worth it, but when it comes to getting a player with potential, you might as well spend a bit less, and it has a few more benefits, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're looking at Hackney and looking at Conor Gallagher, right? I think it's one or the other, but we're not going to sign both of them. So you look at Conor Gallagher, he's more Premier League proven. He's there, ready-made to step into the first team. Hayden Hackney, there's still question marks, as he has only played Championship football. So if you can get a Hackney for, let's say, 25 million, something like that, or a Conor Gallagher for like 50 million, which one are you choosing?
I think, in terms of Conor Gallagher, I think the main point for me when it comes to him is I know he's going to really fit the system when it comes to the pressing element of his game. So profile-wise, I know that for sure. When it comes to Hackney, clearly, technically, he's a good player. And I know he's a hard worker. We saw that in the Carabao. But whether he has that proper aggression that Conor Gallagher has remains to be seen. And obviously, Gallagher's a bit more experienced. I think Gallagher would immediately improve the squad, whereas Hackney might be a bit more of a project. So I'll probably go with Gallagher as a fan.
Let's talk about the Euros now. We're going to talk about the players included and excluded from their prospective internationals. And we're going to start off talking about Pedro Porro, who has not been included in the Spain squad, which was announced today. I believe, Jesus Navas has been favoured ahead of him as right back, which was mind-blowing to me with the season that Pedro Porro has just had. I mean, what can you make out of that? I mean, he's been one of the best right backs in the Premier League this season. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, their loss is our gain because we get him rested up for the next season. But for him, on a personal note, he must be gutted.
Yeah, and especially as this is provisional, so they've got a few extra spots. You'd have thought maybe I'll take a look at him and make a decision. But Jesus Navas is 38 years of age.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane that he's been called up in front of Porro, who's had one of the best seasons in the Premier League this season, one of the best right backs. Carvajal, I understand he's got that experience. I know he's getting on a bit, but obviously he's part of starting for Real Madrid, who are in a Champions League final, have won the league, and he's been a big part of that. So I expect Carvajal to be in there. But look, I don't watch Sevilla week in, week out. Maybe Jesus Navas is playing like he's still 25, like he's still on top of his game. But as a player who was base his game largely on pace, Jesus Navas at 38, does he still have that? I mean, I'll be shocked if he's still as rapid as he was at 38 as he was maybe in his 20s. And I know he's been now a right back for many years at Sevilla, but do I really believe he's playing as well as Pedro Porro right now? I think it's quite frankly hard to believe, considering I watch Pedro Porro week in, week out, and he's improved so much defensively, and we know he's got unbelievable ability going forward. We know his crossing ability is brilliant. He's got amazing shooting ability. So I don't know what's keeping him out, and maybe they've decided Jesus Navas has got a bit of experience, maybe. Obviously, he's been part of winning squads before, but I mean, surely you'd want one experience option and one option who's in his prime, and Porro would surely be that option.
You would think so. But like I said, their loss is definitely our gain to get him rested up for the summer and come back fit and firing. And knowing Pedro Porro's mentality, he'll use this as like a kind of springboard to make sure he's definitely there in 2 years to the World Cup.
Yeah, and he's still young, so he's got a lot of tournaments left in him. It's got to be gutting. But you never know. If one of them picks up an injury before the tournament, he might still get a call.
In terms of the players that have been called up, we've got Vicario's been called up for Italy, Dragoshin for Romania, Van der Ven for the Netherlands, Højbjerg for Denmark, and Maddison, obviously, for England in the provisional squads. Actually, not that many Spurs players going to be at the Euros this summer. And Højbjerg might not even be a Spurs player by the time the Euros start.
Yeah, so usually we're chock-a-block, but maybe going to next season, there won't be too many players. Well, obviously the Copper, I'm assuming Bentancur is going to go to
Yeah, it's Bentancur, Romero, Lo Celso.
Yeah, no Richarlison, because he's picked up an injury, hasn't he? So that's cutting for him. So we're still going to have quite a few players on international duty.
Yeah, so that's 8 in total, but you're looking at 2 of those players could have left the club by then, Lo Celso and Højbjerg. So 6 players in total, which is not that many when you think about it, when you think about previous tournaments and how many have gone.
Is that... Wait, is Van der Ven not got called up?
Yeah, I said Van der Ven.
Oh, you said Van der Ven. So is that maybe where the squad's at the moment? Is that what you're trying to say? We're not good enough?
I don't know. I'll read the list of players that will be here, and then you tell me if any of them are good enough to play for. Well, you look at players like Brennan Johnson would have got called up if Wells was there. So a lot of players, haven't made it because their teams are just not playing this year. But you've got Forster, Austin, Whiteman, Porro, Emerson, Spence, Phillips, Roden, Tanganga, Davies, Udogi, Reguilon, Skip, Bissouma, Sarr, Ndombele, Devine, Bergval, Solomon, Hill, Johnson, Kulusevski, Moore, Donnelly, Son, Richarlison, Valise, Parrott and Scarlett. So as of now, that squad that I just read out is going to be the squad that's going to be, starting pre-season with and probably go on the tour.
Yeah, it depends when these players get knocked out and whatnot, where if they're going to be. To be fair, in terms of European players who are in our squad, who are in the Euros but not going, it's not that many. Is
no,
it?
It's
like
not.
Kulusevski isn't going to the Euros anyway. Johnson's not. Ben Davies isn't.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sarr's not going to the Euros. Obviously, Timo Werner didn't get called up. Brian Hill. So I don't know. It's maybe just a case of we've got less European players than usual.
Yeah, I guess. But let us know what your thoughts are on Pedro Porro being left out the Spanish squad. We've got a message from Sonny. After a couple of days ago, Sonny put out a message on his Instagram and all his social media accounts, a message to the fans. He said, finally home, resting up, looking back at the year, seasons of up and downs, but a season of progress. The first thing I think of is how we've grown stronger and closer as a team and a club. We have an excitement around the place, looking forward to the next few years. We're going to rest up over the summer and come out next season even stronger. A special message of thanks to all of you, the supporters. This season, we have had some of the most special atmospheres I've experienced yet. As my first year as captain, to be leading the boys is a privilege and something I'm proud of. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very soon. Lots of love, Sonny. So what do you make out of that?
Lovely message. Obviously, we know he's fully in belief of the project, and we saw his first year as captain, what an impact he's made in that leadership role and how much responsibility he's taken on himself as well. So nothing less than what I expect from Son. A lovely message to the fans, and I can't wait to see him again next season. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's going to be something to behold, isn't it, going to Korea with Sonny once again. And yeah, hopefully we'll be there, and hopefully we'll see it all firsthand, which will be something amazing. But last but not least, let's talk about pre-season, as a new pre-season game got scheduled today against QPR, which will be our first pre-season as of yet. 20th of July, 3 p.m. kickoff at Loftus Road. And then 27th of July, we'll be going to Japan to play Vissel Kobe at the National Stadium in Tokyo. 3rd of August is against Bayern in Seoul's World Cup Stadium in Korea. And then 10th of August will be Spurs against Bayern in the Visit Malta Cup at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Do you think that's it, or do you think some more will be scheduled in there?
There could be one more in Korea potentially, I reckon. But other than that, I think that might be it. Because, that's enough pre-season games, I would assume.
Yeah, we usually do play, 4 or 5 5 or 6 really.
Last summer was a bit of a weird one.
It was a shit show last summer.
Because we had games cancelled, and then the games we actually did have were nonsense. So a lot of them anyway.
Everyone was saying actually last year after that pre-season, saying, "Oh, we're not ready for the season. We haven't played too many games." Then we just started like a house on fire.
Maybe that's what we need.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the pre-season schedule so far. But that is your Tottenham update as well. So let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we've brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.